Dan Farisi and Commercial Integrator, they just released their annual 40 Under 40 list.
It's something that I take a lot of pride in, that we make sure that we recognize the amazing individuals who comprise the fabric of this industry and people who really kind of punch above their weight.
You're not just singly focused on tech heads or, knob jockeys. These are people who understand the...
I'm having trouble with knob jockeys, but go ahead.
Hum heads.
Propeller heads.
You know what you do? You buy yourself a tape recorder, you just record yourself for a whole day. I think you're going to be surprised at some of your phrasing.
The magic of immersive experiences, how church AV influences higher ed spaces, and virtual policing. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 731, recorded Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Experience Economy. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and IT world. This week, we've got rebates, virtual police, and experiences. Let's get into it. Sennheiser is putting money back into the pockets of U.S. customers. The company has launched a rebate program for its Team Connect Bar S and M models. Buyers can get $150 back on the Bar S and $300 U.S. on the Bar M for purchases made between August 1st and October 31st. Customers will need to submit proof of purchase by November 13th to receive the rebate. The UC Awards 2025 revealed what many in the enterprise communications have already felt. Vendor lock-in is fading fast. Zoom was the big winner this year, taking home awards for Most Innovative Product, Best UC Platform, Best UCaaS Provider in the Americas, and Best Contact Center Solution. New Wave Communications earned recognition for its iPilot orchestration tool, which reduces development timelines and cuts overhead by enabling multi-vendor environments. Other winners included RingCentral, Density, and Tata Communications. The biggest takeaway, enterprises are increasingly embracing multi-vendor strategies to gain agility and resilience. In Seoul, police are turning to holograms to cut down on crime. A life-size holographic police officer has been installed in a downtown park, appearing nightly between 7 and 10 p.m. The projection warns visitors that CCTV is active and that police can respond in real time. Since the hologram went live, reported crime in the park has dropped by 22%. Now, while the virtual officer can't enforce laws, officials say it acts as a strong psychological deterrent, and they're considering expanding the program. Sharp is growing its multi-sync Me lineup with new anti-reflective displays in larger formats. The new PNE-ME2 models come in 75, 86, and 90 inches. They feature high haze panels with 450 nits of brightness. They're slimmer than previous models and add modern touches like USB-C and DisplayPort with alt mode, an onboard browser, gigabit Ethernet, and 32 gigabytes of storage. Series is also Energy Star 8.0 certified, giving AV pros more sustainable options for classrooms, conference rooms, and digital signage. Epson has announced a new projector plugin for Q-SYS. The Q-SYS certified plugin allows integrators to control Epson's 3-chip, 3 LCD projectors directly within the Q-SYS environment. That includes input selection, audio, brightness, menus, and even real-time monitoring. The integration is designed to streamline workflows in education, corporate, and large venue installations, giving AV teams a simpler way to manage projection inside the wider Q-SYS ecosystem. That's your AV news. Stick around for this week's roundtable where we dig into all the things in immersive experiences and Commercial Integrator's annual 40 Under 40 list. This is AV Week.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job-related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
All right, welcome back with us to discuss a number of the articles that we've got. First and foremost, Mr. Dan Farisi from Commercial Integrator. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Tim, for having me back. Always good to chat with you.
Oh, good to see you. And also, a very dear friend. I'm going to hold off calling him an old friend, but a very dear friend who is also a commercial integrator, AV living legend, Mr. George Tucker.
Hello, hello. Glorious to be back, guys.
How are you?
I'm all right.
The white beard does the old part for me.
Yeah, it does.
You know.
It does. I'm practicing for Santa Claus this year. You know,
you could actually pull that off. I mean, you don't have the weight for it anymore. Good Lord, look at you, looking svelte and everything.
I
Good
know.
night. All right, first story. Our friends over at AV Network, they profile 3 environments where immersive experiences are inspiring some new approaches. What makes these projects, at least to me, stand out is that immersion is not just bigger screens, bigger speakers, whatever. It is the storytelling aspect of this. And it's how they are transforming spaces using stuff like projection mapping, synchronizing audio across environments and multiple rooms. It is where the technology helps audiences become part of the narrative, part of the story. Mr. Tucker, I want to start with you on this. When I looked at this, first of all, I'm like, okay, this is cool, awesome, groovy. Avixa has been talking about AV experiences and making sure that we as an industry stop talking, or at least reduce the amount of time we talk about black boxes and more about the experiential part of AV. Okay, good, awesome, groovy. Check one on that. However, the second part of this is, okay, this is awesome, groovy, and I know enough to be dangerous here, so I know roughly how much those experiences cost to put in and to maintain and to keep going. So this is the question that struck me. This is something that an IT manager or an AV manager can take to their higher-ups, to their CIO, to their CEO and go, wouldn't this be awesome? And the CEO will, that's great. And the accounting department will say no. But how can they use stuff like this? Maybe not to get a one-for-one, right? We're not asking, for folks to emulate the sphere here, right, in their boardroom. But how can they use those same experiences and those same technologies to say, hey, look, yeah, we're not asking you to do this, but imagine what we could do in that same vein, right? With that same feel, with that same experience. How can they take those really massive things and pare it down and go, look at this, and wouldn't this be cool in X, in our entranceway, in our multi-purpose space?
Well, like anything else, okay, so the technology is a means to an end, right? So the technology gives us all this ability to create some dynamic content, but it really, as you said at the beginning of this, it's the narrative, it's the story, it's the emotional connection that you make in that. Whether you're talking about the average price of wheat or you're putting on a theatrical production, the emotional context and connection is what matters. So it's using those tools to create the content. Again, it's the silliest thing of, you can make a really dramatic presentation with an overhead projector and transparencies, as well as with full HD and immersive sound and surround sound and all of that other stuff. So this gives us a deeper context to it, right? Because we love seeing those images the way that they pop out at us and that they feel like we're in the living room with them. I know when I used to write about this stuff all the time, we would say, you want to be present in the room, whether you're right there or 1,000 miles away. And that's the same idea. And those emotional connections are really, really important. We did one many years ago for a heating and cooling manufacturer. I'm going to keep my NDAs in place, even though they're probably expired, in which it was the entrance to a training room. So we did the whole training room. It was pretty standard with projectors and whiteboards and interactive stuff on their desks. But the waiting room before you got in, where you got your coffee and your donuts and you said hello to everyone who was going to be part of your training program, they did this very interesting video that rear projected onto piezoelectric screens or doors. And it was rear projected, and as it ended and the lights started to come up in the classroom, the doors faded to transparency, and then they slid open. That's the kind of dramatic context you want. It doesn't have to be that physical movement necessarily, but that got everybody every time. Chills down their spines, goose pimples. Oh, let's learn. And so again, it comes down to your people have to be good at being storytellers as well as utilizing that technology. So it's a means to an end, but they really require each other.
I love what you said there, George. I mean, in terms of goose pimples and chills down the spine, I mean, that is really, I think, what all of us should aspire to do. And as you said, Tim, it doesn't just have to be the sphere. You can take that in microcosm and bring it to performing arts centers. You can bring it to museums. You can bring it to corporate. You can bring it to education. just ways to truly engage people sensorially, engage their minds. I like to say integrators are storytellers, they're memory makers, they're smile generators. That's what it's about. It's not simply about installing racks and getting equipment in there. It's the impression you leave, that indelible feeling that can be had when you have a truly memorable experience with spatial sound or dazzling 4K or 8K imagery, whatever the case might be. I really do feel like that is where the growth in the industry can be. And you mentioned AVWeek at the outset, Tim. I mean, when I talk to Sean Wargo, he says that the experience economy continues to be where we're going to see outsized growth. And I think all of these experiential technologies align with that. As much as some parts of our industry arguably are being commoditized or, kind of become off the shelf in some way, the feelings that we can generate with some of this technology, properly contextualized with a storytelling mindset, not purely an installation mindset, I think there's a lot of room for growth and a lot of potential for revenue for integrators and for consultants and other stakeholders in the industry.
George, before I wrap up this story, what are some projects that are wowing you right now, or ones that these decision makers should look to for inspiration? And we'll take the sphere out of that question, because that's kind of right now that's the default one as somebody who's still recovering from being in Vegas for 2 days. What's something that they should look to for inspiration?
I mean, I hate to say this, but I default back to like the AV magazine. What the stuff they're showing, and what is an LDI, Lighting Dimensions magazine, and Lighting Dimensions, that use of light, audio, and video to really bring a room into what you want it to be and transform it from standard meeting into something very comfortable into let's get to work is really essential. Because we used to say, during the COVID, we said, it's huddle rooms and it's this and it's that and it's these little off-break spaces. But their one-time usage is now a problem rather than a benefit. And I think a lot of times we need to look at them and say we need to design into them that ability to flex both in the atmosphere. The equipment may stay the same, but when you change how it's used or how it feels, it changes the work you do. So when you're very serious, you have the good work light. When you're trying to be creative, maybe it's a little jazzier light and something on the screen that's not distracting. I mean, those are the things that I look for. I can't point any particular ones out at the moment, but that's the way to go.
Next story is from Dan Farisi and Commercial Integrator. They just released their annual 40 Under 40 list, recognizing the next generation of AV leaders. This year's class is, I believe, the largest ever. Dan? Largest ever?
So we always have 40, so not largest in terms of overall size, but very diverse, which is one of the things I'm really happy about. And not just in terms of racial diversity and in terms of gender diversity, but also diversity in terms of roles within the industry. I mean, we have integrators represented, we have consultants represented, we have association personnel, we have higher education personnel, vendors, distributors. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, that we make sure that we recognize the amazing individuals who comprise the fabric of this industry and people who really kind of punch above their weight relative to maybe what their rank might be at this moment. I can only imagine 5 or 10 years from now, these could be people occupying the C-suites of many of these leading companies in our industry. So it's something we take a lot of pride in, and we love the response that it's gotten, the social media response. When we dropped it this past Tuesday, we had our greatest Tuesday website traffic ever in the history of tracking it. So I was really, really pleased to see the amount of outpouring of support it has gotten. And one of the reasons I say that is because obviously all of us follow the news, economic uncertainty and anxiety. Some people are doing RIFs, some people are doing layoffs. It's really important to me to give visibility to those who don't always have visibility. The CEO or the CFO or whoever it might be might not know these guys and gals by name. They might not interact with them every day. So I think it's really important, and it's incumbent upon us as members of the media to give them a platform and shine a light on them so that hopefully they can put that in their LinkedIn profile and say, CI 40 Under 40 class of 2025, and get some of that recognition within their own organization, within their industry community, and just kind of give them again a platform and almost a security where they can say, this is clearly someone who's been independently recognized as being a huge contributor. We don't want to lose him. We don't want to lose her. In fact, let's try to get them on a fast track to management or whatever they aspire to do. So there's a lot of purposes in what we do, but we want to make sure that we not only celebrate their achievements, but also give them some stature in the industry, not only in the industry, but also within their own organization.
Well, and one of the things here, and full disclosure, I was one of the first class of CI 40 under 40 in 2014, along with Mr. Chris Netto, who is the exact same age as I am. So I just want to point that out there. But that is one of the things that I've been watching this for the last 11, 12 years, Dan, and watching where a lot of these folks have gone. You're right. It is you guys are recognizing folks and watching these industry leaders in their own right, even though the age might not be there, but watching them in the last 10 or 12 years and watching how they grow. Mr. Tucker, when you look at this, what does the diversity in where each of these people are? Dan highlighted the fact that this is not just diversity about race or gender, even though that is there, but also in each of those places, right? They have engineers, they've got salespeople, AV salespeople, they've got association members. What does that diversity tell us about what's coming for the industry and what the leadership of the industry will be for the next 10, 20 years?
I think they'll be more finely focused. That will have a more, and I think we're using the word diversity, but a more rounded appreciation of what it takes to get into those installations and make them work. Whether it's live events, I guess, because some of these people dabble in some of that as well.
Yep.
That's at least what I see is you're not just singly focused on tech heads or knob jockeys. These are people who understand the comprehensive. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with that. These are people who understand.
I'm having trouble with knob jockeys, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, hum heads. We're going to call them hum heads. Okay.
Propeller heads.
But they understand propeller heads. There you go. But they understand the complete thread and the complete signal flow from creation to hardware in this industry, and that's really important. I know sometimes when we get into it, with some of the companies I've worked for, it was about gear. Yes, it solved a problem, but it was highest margin, shortest install time, go. Yeah. And as I've said before, it's like sometimes you have to think outside yourself. What is the benefit to the client? And if you're doing it wrong or just selling them something, then it's worse than doing nothing. And I think what you see in these people is the idea of being able to be judicious in that technology and create something that's lasting rather than just new.
I think that's absolutely true, George. And the other thing I'll say is I go to NSCA BLC every year, and I look and I see these legendary people who might be now in their 50s or 60s or 70s, and there's sometimes a little bit of collective hand-wringing, like who is going to fill the shoes of all these people when they eventually retire and want to spend time with their grandkids and great-grandkids. And it just made me so optimistic when I saw we had 300 plus individual nominations this time, which was the most nominations that we've ever had. So in terms of the biggest class, it was the biggest class of potential nominees that we ever had with 300 plus. It just made me feel much more secure, quite honestly, that our future is going to be bright. We might wring our hands about who's going to fill the shoes of CEO X or CFO Y, but boy, we have an amazing group of individuals who are recognized by their peers, their colleagues, their competitors. There weren't a whole lot of self-nominations, a handful at most. Mostly it was peers and colleagues and even competitors nominating others, saying she or he is a real rock star and they deserve recognition. And I couldn't be more grateful to everyone who took time to nominate someone. Again, I know there were probably a lot of people disappointed they didn't make the list, but to get down from 300 plus to 40 was a really, really tall task.
That was really amazing. And that, it says something that competitors even was nominating folks. Dan, before we turn the page on this one, I do want to highlight something here. And I give Tucker a hard time because I love him. And I like giving Tucker a hard time because he's never given me a hard time a day in his life.
Never. Pure as driven snow.
Yeah. George was recently named an AV living legend. And I want to highlight here, first of all, congratulations, Mr. Tucker. You absolutely deserve it. It was a fantastic article, Dan. but highlight that bookend, right? CI does 40 under 40, right? Which is celebrating the folks that are up and coming, and as you said, is the next generation. But you also have this thing over here called AV Living Legends, where you are recognizing and highlighting the contributions of folks who not only have helped mentor dummies like me, because Tucker is 100% one of those, but also have helped to pour into the next generation. George is he won't say this publicly, but he is one of the best teachers, AV teachers I've ever met. He's getting ready to do it again, right? He does it all the time at his shop. Why is it important to highlight both sides, I guess, of this experience spectrum?
We really think that the AV Living Legends is super important as a bookend to the 40 under 40 because, some people have had concerns about the 40 under 40, the perception of being ageist, or like if someone is 42 or 43, they can no longer be highlighted. We did want to offer that bookend and say that, okay, you may not be under 40 anymore, you may not be a rising star, but you still are contributing or have contributed over decades vastly to our industry's collective knowledge and our practice. And I think George is an ideal example of that. I'm thrilled that we're about 70 or so now with the AV Living Legends, and I'm looking to get well past 100 and beyond. I'm reaching out to many of the names in the industry that we all know. I'm not going to drop anybody's name right here because I want to keep it a surprise. But I also just want to say one of the nice things about AV Living Legends, and I know you and I, Tim, have had a conversation about this offline, it is 100% grassroots crowdsourced. I don't pick them. My editorial colleagues don't pick them. Someone will not be an AV Living Legend unless a third party reaches out to me or Amla or Alyssa and says, George should be on that list. Person XYZ should be on that list. So it's 100% crowdsourced, and I want to keep it that way. And if there are those who are peers of yours or mentors of yours who you think should be on the list, I would love for you to reach out to me on social media or by email and let me know, because I would love to be able to add them to the ranks in the coming months and weeks.
It was a real honor. I mean, when Dan approached me, I thought that was fantastic. And I really put my heart and soul into answering the questions and making sure that they came through. But what that bookends, as Dan said, and what you were asking about was you have that dynamic energy of those who are, I guess, younger, for lack of a better word of it, who are really pushing to enter new worlds. And then you have the living legends who we're very comfortable where we are, is still dynamic, still cutting edge, still pushing. But that balance of power is always fun to have, both in the industry and when you're in a workspace, because you can get people who will just go to the ends of the earth and do something. And then the older ones who went, well, we could have done it a little bit differently, a little bit simpler, but I like the energy, and here's what we have to offer for that. It comes down to, like you said, I love teaching, and having that kind of status now is a great thing to have when you're doing these seminars, doing these teaching things where, yes, look, there is something that comes up from here, and you guys can achieve really good things. Whether you are a white-collared person behind the desk or you're still digging in the trenches, as I often like to do.
I will also highlight one more thing, just because I also like to give Mr. Netto a hard time. He is one of the few people I know that is not only a CI 40 under 40, but also a living legend. So it is possible, kids, to occupy both bookends. So there you go.
And it won't go to his head. It won't, I swear.
Oh, 100%, because it already has. 100% already has. And now Mitchell's going to clip that, and he'll use that on socials. From AVNation, we looked at, honestly, 10 ways technology is being used to not just deepen congregational worship or congregational worship in houses of worship, actually how the innovations inside House of Worship AV is impacting the AV that folks use in corporate as well as higher education. One of the things that I have noticed over the last, let's say, 10, 20 years, the folks that occupy the spaces inside houses of worship, 99% of them, and that is not an accurate number, but that's Tim's number, 99% of them are volunteers, right? Yes, you have on-staff people that are paid money to do that. The vast majority of them are volunteers. The vast majority of those volunteers work in some way, shape, or form in technology. They're comfortable there, right? They're absolutely comfortable there. Yes, I've worked with car dealers and carpenters that are volunteering in technology in churches. Absolutely. The majority of those volunteers are some way, shape, or form involved in their jobs with technology. And a lot of those are in education in corporate America. Tucker, I'm going to start with you on this. When you look at the things being pushed inside houses of worship, and this is, video walls are commonplace inside, medium and large, not even mega churches, but medium and large churches nowadays. I was in one the other day that had a surround sound audio system. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic, by the way. So you've got these technologies that are being leveraged. How do you take, or how should they take, I guess, the things that they are encountering inside the house of worship market and translate that? Again, a large portion of these folks are involved in AV in some way, shape, or form, or technology in their jobs. How can they translate that back over to their 9-to-5 Monday through Friday gig?
Like anything, I mean, as you know, I'm not the most spiritual person in the world, but the drama and theatrics of what we need to do as an industry. So what is our industry? What is our main focus? It is to sharpen and focus the message of the person, the company, the product. And when you're doing that for, say, house of worship or even in education, it's again that same thing we spoke about earlier. It's that atmosphere. It's about bringing the emotional context to the words, to the message. And that's done through presenting the images where they should be, or giving the sound reinforcement where it should be. Whether it's very simple, and what you said, they're all volunteers, so sometimes it's a very simple setup to do that. But when you have the opportunity to enhance that message with slides or with audio and video that really, really dovetail into the message and make you remember it. And remember, that's what we want to do, is make them go away with the word remembering it. And we're very visual species, so when we hear it and see it, it's going to connect on a different level. And that goes for, again, as I said earlier, a corporate meeting, whether you're talking about the price of tea in China or the stock market or something more ecumenical and spiritual. Combining those tools, the storytelling and the technology, to leave you going, wow, that's still reverberating in my head, is what we do. Well, again, we've done, I did TV upfronts, if you know what TV upfronts are, where they bring in broadcasters and advertisers on different days and show them everything. Those can be the most boring things in the world. Like, here's the next new TV show. You've seen it before, but here it is again. But we always found a way to bring some kind of emotional connection to that presentation that left everybody going away going, wow. Wow, yeah, I do want to go watch the CN or whatever one it was back then, UPN. Yeah. And that's what we get the thrill off of. That's what you get off of that, is bring that back, that energy.
I mean, it's about multisensory engagement, right? I mean, I'm a big movie fan, so I'll go to the movies, and the right combination of visuals and lighting and music. I mean, you're watching actors, but it can bring tears to your eyes. You can almost become just enveloped in the experience. And especially for those who are spiritually minded, if you do have that blend of lighting and sound reinforcement and music and visuals, and you're feeling whatever spiritual essence is yours, like it can be something that is deeply enriching and unforgettable. And I think those lessons, to your point, Tim, can be transferred over. I mean, whether it is making sure that your corporate lobby is radiating the vibe that you want your business to radiate, so that when you bring customers in and they come into your lobby, your brand equity is showing in the best possible way. Or, you walk into the lobby and there's some kind of enveloping music or spatial sound following you around. Whatever it is that reflects your brand currency, I think you can take the spiritual currency of church worship and transfer it over.
I like that. That'll be a good place to stop. Thank you both so much. Mr. George Tucker, AV living legend that you are. Thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
They can connect with me on Threads. I am Tucker2s. It's where I do most of my conversations these days, as well as on LinkedIn. But if you're interested and you are in the Westchester area, next week, where Cavs is having its Pirate University, where we teach the basics of live events, stagehand, and from lighting to audio to networking, which is what I'm teaching, and a few product placements and education on some hot new topics and products. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week this comes out.
All right, very good. Mr. Parisi, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you or Commercial Integrator?
Thank you very much, Tim. Always good to see you, George. I guess the best way, the most immediate way to see me would be at CEDIA Expo CIX, which is coming up the week of Labor Day. So right after Labor Day Monday, we go right into CEDIA Expo CIX in Denver. It's going to be a fantastic event. As everyone knows, it's the place where residential AV and commercial AV come together. It's really going to be an integrator's paradise, and all of my Emerald colleagues and I are looking forward to seeing you there. You can also find me on commercialintegrator.com. If you happen to dabble in security, you can find me on securitysales.com, which is one of our sister publications. I'm not so active on X anymore, but you can find me on LinkedIn. And I look forward to connecting with everyone in Denver, hopefully, and on the web as well.
All right, very good. Yeah, he is incredibly active on LinkedIn, so you can check him out as well. For Tim Albright, do not follow me anywhere. Honestly, by the time this comes out, I'll be about a week away from complaining about the Bears. That is the Chicago Bears, American football, for those of you that are not in the States. But go by the website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others, including a brand new EdTech with Aaron Moran, where they talk about the impact of mergers and acquisitions on the higher ed customer. And oh baby, have there been some mergers and acquisitions. Oosh, whoa. And it's not over yet. I mean, just be prepared for that. I don't know anything. I don't at me or anything. I don't know nothing. I just know that the longer I've been in this business, the more these continue to happen. If you happen to want to read something that I write that has nothing to do with technology, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Check those out. But go by the website, if you would, please, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is Erin Marmoran of EdTech. The world of higher ed AV is growing rapidly. That's why each month we hear from the best and brightest from colleges and universities all over the U.S. Check out EdTech on avnation.tv or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.